Well, hello there. Welcome back. This is Lynn Hamilton, your lead instructor, with some more fun information for you. So the gang's all here, so give everybody a shout out. Very good, very good. So today's class is one on DISC. And it's not a flying saucer, just so you don't know. DISC is the personality assessment. It's not a test. It's an assessment of what, and we're going to go through what it is, what you are, and then how that can be a benefit to you and give you kind of a cutting edge. So that is where we're going to jump into today. There will be a part 1 and a part 2 of this because there is no way that all 8 to 12 hours of this can be jam-packed into about an hour and a half. So there will be part 1, which is what you are, understanding what you are, understanding where your strength is, understanding where your challenges may be. But then when we do part 2, it's going to get into really the nitty-gritty of how you work with clients of a different personality type. So that's where we're going to go with this. So I always cringe because I have scoured the internet to find where else assessments can be taken. And of all the ones that are out there, and there's some that pop up and then they go away and then they... The one that is my favorite of all times is the one through Tony Robbins. So through tonyrobbins.com/DISC, you can take your assessment. Now, I am a certified DISC instructor, which means, yes, through the company that I got certified with, I can purchase DISC assessments and make them available to you. However, I don't like the price tag that goes with them. So for this purpose of just the basic introductory level, this one, I believe, is the best one that's out there. So once you take the assessment online, it's going to give you a, kind of a generic, response back. And then it's going to ask if you want to purchase the full report. There's 3. You want to go with the cheapest one, which is about $20, 25. Okay, so $24.95, whatever it is. You want to go with that one. And when we get to the end of this class, you will understand why that is the one I prefer. Now, if anybody is going to be doing coaching with me or any coaching sessions at all, I'm going to, again, hate to ask for agents to put out money, but I am going to ask that this be done. Okay, I'm going to ask you to send me your DISC assessment. And again, as you're taking it and as you're watching it, if you want to send it to me, I would love to get it, because for everyone that does, here's the little perk. I'm going to provide everyone that takes it and sends it to me at least a 30 to 45 minute one-on-one about what you are, where your strength is, and where your weaker moments are within that. So, yes. So again, that's, I figure that kind of trades off, the paying $25 to get the report. I'm going to give you that extra TLC. This is a session that you will probably go back and listen to more than once, just because once you kind of get it, it's like, okay, this is really cool, and you'll want to dig in more. Now, I'll tell you a little story. Me, story time. I had a client years ago that was just about ready to drive me nuts, and I stepped back and I thought, okay, why is she wanting this information? Nobody's ever asked me this before. So I stepped back, and I was actually prepping to go teach one of the DISC classes at the office I was in. And I thought, wait a minute, what is she? And when I looked at not only what her job was, but her personality and what her husband did, I knew immediately what she was. Very analytical, was afraid of being taken advantage of, because, oh wait, she already had been taken advantage of. She was selling a custom-built home. Her husband had been a pharmacist. She did the books. She's now in her 80s. She's doing the books for the church. So numbers. And I'm like, you're going to drive me nuts, woman. But once I realized that that was what was important to her, I pulled some numbers, emailed them to her, and said, hey, thought these might be of interest to you. Sent it over to her, and her and I, it totally was a game changer. So it made the rest of the transaction go much smoother because she felt that I understood where she was coming from, okay? So before we get into this a little bit further, let me ask you a question. Have you ever gone and done a buyer consultation or a seller consultation, and you walked out of there going, nailed it, I got it, yeah, I just nailed this one, spot on, perfection, and 2 days later you found out they listed or went with somebody else? Who's that happened to? Show of hands? Nobody's, no, okay, I see a couple of hands popping up, okay? That is because more than likely you were one disc style and they were the other, on the other end of the spectrum. You presented to your strength, not to theirs, okay? That is typically where that division comes in at. And that's often where the conflict, not only of people come in, but of transactions and, you know, getting that listing or getting that buyer. So once you start getting a feel of this a little bit, there's going to be some real light bulbs that go off. Okay? Good? Okay, give me an okay. Okay. So, you guys ready? Yeah. On your mark, get set, let's get going. As always, I want to give a shout out and a thank you to Cardinal Title for sponsoring our classes. Again, they are awesome. Be sure to thank them when you have the next opportunity to use them and let them know that I sent you. So that is always good, and we appreciate their ongoing support. So always, the quick reminders is your handout is designed, move my chair just a little bit here. Your handout is designed to be hole punched. Oh wait, I think I hole punched those that were coming to class. You want to put them into your binder because that is your training manual being customized and being developed out for yourself. So obviously your jump starts 1, 2, 3, and 4 will be in there, and then any other classes you take as well. All right, so next, as always, put them into your binder so we've got them. It also comes in handy if you're going to be meeting with me or anybody else, because we want to make sure that I know where you're at and I can pick up where you've left off. As you know, my mission is to help identify those real estate missing pieces of your business and put them together. And by seeing what you've done, what you haven't done, that is going to expedite that process a whole lot faster, okay? And as always, the page numbers are at the bottom of the screen, are aligned to go with the page number of the handouts to keep you on point. Now, class rules. As always, make sure your phone is off or silent, because if not, you know me, I'll answer it. I want to make sure that you are open to some new ideas, especially with this disc, all right? So, always going to ask, may I have your permission to be blunt and honest with you? Tell you what you need to know and not always what you want to hear. You okay with that? Give me a thumbs up. Yes, I'm seeing them pop. All right, very good. And as always, hear my heart, forgive my mouth, but this one's pretty good. You do still have to laugh at my stupid jokes. There you go. All right. And at the end, as always, we're going to ask you what was your aha moment, what was your takeaway, and we're going to share it and talk about it. So, implement what you've learned. Again, this is one that once you start getting it, it's just going to open up and make communication a whole lot better, a whole lot easier, and there you have it. Okay? Boom. Let's go. As always, quick reminder, Jumpstart is available to you every Thursday from 11 to 12. It's done by a Zoom platform, or GoToMeeting platform. The link to that is on the Cardinal Nest on the calendar, and you're welcome to join me. So if you have any questions specifically about anything, about any of the classes you have taken, that's your time to answer or ask me questions. Okay? Boom. All right. Words of wisdom. If you keep doing what you've been doing, you're going to keep getting what you've been getting. And when you get sick and tired of being sick and tired, it is then and only then that you go, wait a minute, I need to do something a little bit different. This so applies to DISC because it is our natural style to do something a certain way. That being said, if you are a high D and all you function at is a high D, you have an appointment with someone who is an S and a C, you're totally going to miss them. So until you're able to eventually learn and balance in your 4 personality types a little bit, not that you're bipolar, but you know, you kind of balance them in, then you're going to win more of the listings or more connect with more of the buyers. You need to become the chameleon. Okay? I should have brought a little chameleon. That would have been cute. I actually have a blown glass one. So, again, if you keep doing business the way you've been doing it, you're going to keep getting what you've been getting. And 99% of the agents that I have the privilege to talk to tell me they're wanting their business to be better than what it was. They want to grow. They want to do either more, or business that they're doing, they want to do it smoother, more effective, more efficient. Okay? We good? We good. All righty. So let's talk about what DISC is and what it isn't. So first off, DISC is every person's preferred behavioral style. DISC stands for the D, which is the very dominant, my way, the highway. I'm going to tell you what I think, whether you want to know or not. The okay, now full disclosure, you know me, full disclosure. I've had several of you do your DISC assessments. I have talked to a few of you. I have asked permission of a few, including one in class, for me to, she's over making noise, for me to share the good and the other side of, you know, where her strength is. So with that, I'm not picking on anybody. I equally pick on everybody. And it's to be fun and funny as well, but it's also to be enlightening, okay? So it's okay. I've gotten everyone's permission. Now, I do have some slides at the end that I do not have names attached to them, so don't ask me because I'm not going to tell you who they are. But we're going to talk about their strength and their weakness and how to work it, okay? So DISC is your preferred behavioral style. Obviously, the D is your dominant. Your I is your influencer, the bubbly personality. The S is the very steady. Systems. The C is one that's very compliant. They want to know the rules and the regulations. They can quote you the rules and regulations, page and paragraph. And do not ask them to put their teeny tiny toe outside the line, because they're just going to go into meltdown, because that is not what they can do, all right? So I leave the DISC up at the top of the screen, so it kind of gives you a reference point as we move along. So again, there is no right or wrong style. It is just how we are, I'm going to say, programmed to operate. Now, the question that does come up every once in a while is, can our DISC style change? Now, I've been doing this for well over 10, 15 years. Mine stays pretty consistent. How we are. Now, somebody asked if I was a high D, and I said no, but you make me mad. You're going to see the D come out. Okay? Several years ago, many years ago, I was a caregiver for my mom, and we were dealing with the hospital and a doctor. I quickly understood why the 6th floor windows don't open, because he had gone at him on the end of my foot. He was, we won't go into that story, but I was talking to a friend of mine, and they said, you ought to go back and take your DISC assessment, just see what it is right now. So I did. My D was up higher. Because of the mode that I was in, yes, it elevated up. Put me back into business mode, and it was, back in range again. So again, we do have a natural style, but we can flex as we need to, depending on the situation a little bit as well. So this does not, so the basic, non-altered, effortless, natural behavior is called your preferred behavioral style. It's just kind of how you roll with the flow, and that's what comes out. Now, what is behavior? The behavior is the manner of conducting oneself. It has nothing to do with intelligence, values, beliefs, skills, experience, education, training, motivation, or ethics. It is just your core and how you function. DISC is a style assessment, not a skills assessment. It is not an intelligence, how smart you are. We all have D, I, S, and C as a part of our makeup. One of the reasons, again, that I prefer and like to see the Tony Robbins one is it gives me a number and it gives me a chart. 90% of the other ones that I found out there that are DISC or they'll tell you, oh, you're an I, you're an S, you're a C. That doesn't help me, and that doesn't help me help you. I want to know the value of that. Okay? So, and there is no better or worse style from one another. So the D's are not better than anybody else, even though some of them may think they are. Okay, we're gonna have fun. No, that doesn't include you. But it's all good. It's all good. Okay. All right. So the bottom line, it is the preferred behavior is affected by how we think, how we act, how we feel, how we react, how we behave, how we speak. And yes, if you're in a different phase of life, in a different role, and that's why I always tell people, when you are doing your DISC assessment, go ahead and put your business hat on and take it based off that. Because sometimes how we are in business and how we are at home can be slightly different depending on the roles of the other people that are around us. Okay? So far, so good? Yes. All right. On page 2 of your handout, there's 2 little boxes there. What I'm going to ask you to do is grab yourself a pen, and in the box on the right-hand side, or the left-hand side rather, I want you to use your predominant hand, whether you're right-handed or left-handed, and just write your name in there, in the first box, there on the left-hand side. Sign your name. Okay? Now, put the pen, pencil, crayon, lipstick in your other hand. In your other hand. And in the box on the right, sign your name again. Y'all ought to see them in class. They're like, total concentration. I can do this. I know I can. Okay? It's kind of funny. You got to see it. Okay. Everybody got it done? Okay. So you did it, right? You were able to do it. It took a little more effort. It took a little more concentration. It's probably not as pretty as the first one, but you were able to do it. That is kind of how the DISC components play, okay? Yes, you're strong and natural here. If you need to function over here, you still can. It's going to be a little more energizing or energy taken. It's going to be a little more brain power. It's going to be a little more, a little slower to get it done, but you are going to be able to do it. So that's just a fun little exercise. Okay, so let's get into, again, some simple guidance regarding dealing with each behavior. Please do not ignore the wisdom of each behavior profile, because the sooner you learn about the different profiles, the better you're going to become in your workplace. Okay? There are a lot of companies, the first thing people do, either being hired or coming in, as they go through the DISC assessment, and then it's merged with, okay, who else functions with who. There are times that we will do, or people have done DISC assessments as they're getting ready to hire somebody. Been through that as a coach as well, when a company is ready to hire somebody, and they say, Lynn, come talk to us about these assessments. Okay? All right. Number 2 on here is everyone is cut from a different cloth, so it's okay. You want to use this as a guide to help you, not to limit you. You always want to respect the different styles and natural styles, and you never want to belittle anyone that that their value is not important. Okay? So, with the exception of me, that Miss Katie gave me permission to call her Miss High D every once in a while, or remind, but she knows it comes with love, but also knowing that when we need to get into other conversations about where she's struggling, that's simply because her S and C are lower. Okay? I know that. I'm helping her understand that. And it's like, aha. And I love it when I get the ahas back, because that's the breakthrough. Okay? All right, let's move on. So again, you've got the 4 styles, the D, the I, the S, and the C. We're going to talk about, we already got that one on there. Let me just jump right through that. How that showed up as a duplicate, I don't know. All right, so here we go. Here's your 4 styles. Again, the D, the I, the S, and the C. Your D is they're very task-orientated, and they're very outgoing. Okay? The tasks are, they're very dominant, they're very determined. Sometimes they're very demanding, which is okay. Sometimes they're very driven, and they're doers. They don't talk about it, they do it. Okay? So very task-orientated. All right, let's jump over to the I column. Again, in the very outgoing, but they're also people-orientated. So they're very influencing, they're impressive, interactive, inspiring, and innovators. Think outside the box. Okay? Let's go down to the S's. Again, very task-orientated, but they're more reserved than they are outgoing. So your S is, again, very supportive, very sensitive, very steady, very stable, and they're very servant-orientated. Okay? Steady and stable are the two that I would say in there are key components when you're working with a client who is an S as well. All right? Let's switch over to the C. The C is they're very cautious. They are very creative. They're also very curious, but they're also coordinators. Okay? They want to make sure that everybody's got everything they need. The C's, if you're working with a buyer or seller, they're the ones that are going to want to read everything because their fear is being taken advantage of. So they're going to make sure that they're very cautious and that they've read everything through. Okay, just kind of give you a little snippet of those. All right, so let's jump in and talk about the D's. We're going to start picking on the D's from the very beginning. And again, it all comes with love, and it's intended for all of us to understand. The D style is the racer. They are fast-paced, big picture, independent learners. I'm hearing the mm-hms, okay? The question that they ask themselves or out loud is, so what's in it for me? Again, that's okay. You need the D's, and we all need to have that part of our personality as well. The D is very dominant, driven, direct, decisive. Do not ask them a question unless you want the answer, because they're going to tell you. Okay? They often, not always, but they often have strong egos. They are active and aggressive problem solvers. They will jump in and then figure out what the problems are and start solving the problems quickly. Okay? Versus someone who is on the C side is going to be more analytical and who's going to want to have all the research done before they even make a decision. Okay, so I'm seeing some heads nodding in class. I'm seeing some resonation going on here. Okay, they are leaders because they want to lead, not because they don't think anybody else can do a good job. They want to lead because they know they can, and they want to be able to lead. Very task-orientated. Okay? You tell them what to do, they'll usually do it. But if you tell them to go figure it out, ain't going to happen as much. Okay? They are quick decision makers, so they will jump in and figure out the details later. They're often strong negotiators, which is a strength that they have, and those are some of the good characteristics that come with a D. Okay? Their fear is when they lose control and they start to show panic. When they're losing control is not always a good thing. We call it meltdown. Okay. Absorb that for a second. All right, so let's go on to our I's. The I learning style is very much of a talker. They are often fast-paced. They are interactive and fun because, you know, if it ain't fun, we ain't going to do it. But since we got to do it, we're going to make it fun. That's our motto. Okay? Love group projects because we're going to have fun doing it. Okay? The question that the I's would ask is, so who else is doing it? All right, so let's talk about the I's a little bit more. Very outgoing, charismatic, verbal, gregarious, highly optimistic. The glass is always half full. It is never half empty. They take an effort to make sure that they're staying positive because they don't want to go down that rabbit hole. They're very trusting and sometimes to a fault, but you burn their trust and you will probably not get it back. They're very impulsive, persuasive, emotional, and very people-orientated, okay? And again, we all have a percentage of I within us. Our emotions is optimism. The glass is always half full, never half empty. And what our fear is rejection, lack of approval, and social acceptance, okay? We want to have fun. We want to have fun doing whatever it is we got to do, okay? All right, absorb that for a second. Let's talk about the S's. The S personality style, that is your strongest point, or are you following your chart? They're the listeners. They're slow-paced. They get support from teachers. They will often sit in the front rows because they want to hear, they want to be engaged. They don't want anything blocking their radar from where they're at. They are often one-on-one learners, but they are slow, steady, and consistent, okay? The question that you will have from an S, if you're, let's say you're meeting with them, like in a buyer consultation, seller consultations, may I take some notes? Okay, which is why you always make sure you have that page available to them in the buyer consultation or the seller consultation. Okay, so your S's, again, are very steady. They are very systematized. They are very stable. I don't know, am I stable? Yes. Okay, sometimes I wonder. Okay, they're very predictable. They're good listeners. God gave us 2 ears for a reason. We're very understanding, very friendly, and very people-orientated. Okay? So if you're a high D and your S is very low, but you're meeting with an S, you kind of need to mirror them. Okay? They will hide emotions. Their fear is loss of security or stability. They will stay often in a job they hate with an abusive boss. I have a friend who does that. I won't mention her name. She's in California. Because of the fear of loss of stability and the loss of security. Okay? So that is one thing that's very concerning to them, is that loss of stability and that fear. That is why often if it's a seller and they're a very, very high S, they're going to be very slow to change. They want to know that, you know, you've got a system in place, you've got a checklist in place, you've got it down to a science, because now they're going to trust you. Okay? Take a deep breath and marinate on that one for a second. Okay? Let's move on to the C. Last but not least, we're going to talk about the C. So the C style is the thinker. They are slow-paced. They need details. They need structure, and they need a schedule. They need the to-do list. They need to be reminded to take the to-do list, go to their calendar, and block off the time when they're going to do the tasks that need to be done. That's the structure and the schedule. Okay? Their question is always going to be, is it accurate? Okay? Is it accurate? Now, for fun, let me throw this one in there. Who do you think a nurse would be? Throw it out real quick.
I think a nurse could be all of any of them.
Yeah, but what's their highest, one of their highest going to be? Because we're all of the above.
C.
C? Okay, who agrees that C is probably oftentimes, yeah, okay? Because again, details. Is there a difference between 5 milligrams of morphine and 50 milligrams of morphine?
Big part.
big difference, okay? So they are going to have it to perfection, okay? They want the structure, they want the schedule, they want to know who they're taking care of, they want to know that they're going to be, details. Oftentimes, if you're dealing with a nurse, okay, a lot of doctors, believe it or not, we think of them as the high D's and the ego-driven. There's a part of them that is, but more than likely, they're also that steady, that S and that C, okay? More people are a higher S than any other letter in the alphabet here, okay? All righty. There you have the basics. So your C's, again, are compliant. They are analytical. They are fact-finding. They have very high standards. They are systematic. They're conscientious and task-orientated. If you are working with a C buyer or seller, do they want to see in your buyer and seller notebook that you've got the facts mapped out of these are the homes that are sold in the area, this is the price point, this is the numbers, this is the data, blah, 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 blah. Okay? They're also the ones that are going to want to read the contract before they sign it. Because part of their fear is obviously being taken advantage of as well, but their primary emotion is fear and worry. They're going to worry about everything. They're going to fear everything. So if you start hearing it coming out of their mouth, they fear this, or they're worried about this, or they're worried about this, more than likely, that's where they're going to fall in. Okay? So, and again, in part 2, we're going to talk more about and more in depth about how that connects and how that comes in. All right? And again, their fear is criticism and imperfection. So they will check the numbers, and then they will recheck the numbers, and then they will check your numbers, and then they will recheck the numbers once again to make sure they're accurate. Okay? There is no gray area. It's either spot on or not at all. Boom, there you have it. Okay? Whew. Now, let's talk again, just kind of a quick overview. Your D is the racer. They are fast-paced, big picture, independent learners, and the what's in it for me. Your I, again, is the very fast-paced, but they're interactive, they're very fun, they're group projects. Who else is doing it? Okay? And I caught myself the other day, I was working on a flyer. I'm going to be doing some remote viewing parties for the sales meetings, and then doing a special class afterwards that's not part of the Samson University, so you got to be present in order to get it. And I caught myself putting on there that it's going to be informative and fun. And I thought, if that's not the I coming out in me, nothing is. So I had a good chuckle with myself. The C is the thinker, again, very slow-paced. So if you're working with a C and you find their tone is slowing down a little bit, and you're that I talking 90 miles an hour, zzz, okay, become that chameleon, mirror them a little bit, and come down to their level. That is where you're going to connect with them. If not, you're going to lose them. And that's when you walk out of that appointment thinking, I nailed it, and then you find out they went with somebody else a day later because you didn't connect with them. Okay? So that is your C, and the question is, are they accurate? The listener, again, very slow-paced. They love one-on-one. They will ask you lots of questions. It's okay. And they will ask, can I take some notes? Which is all good. All right. Boom. Your head ready to explode yet? Nope, we're good. All right, so let's go ahead and take a deep dive in a little bit further into some more. If you're following along, we are flipping over to page 5. So, communicating with each style. Your high D is looking for results and efficiency. They are direct, task-orientated, speaks quickly, speaks clearly, direct and to the point. They set small goals, and they take steps, minimal steps to get there, little steps at a time. Okay? Now, if you are a D, you need, and that's your highest. Okay, if on that scale you're the highest D, you need to kind of, recognize that and know that that's how you function. It's okay. Now, if you're communicating with an I, they're looking for the experience. Are we going to have fun? Yes. They enjoy being with people, and they like to ask a lot of questions. All right, because they want to engage, they want to interact, they want to, all that, okay? If you're communicating with an S, they are looking for security. Yes, they're people-orientated. They are warm, they are stable. They are also the peacemakers, oftentimes the middle child, because that's the peacemaker. But they don't always like to take a high risk. Your D is jumping right in and going to get information later. And I just go back down, come down 2 steps on the ladder before you jump off or fall off, okay? With that, your C, again, they're looking for information. Yes, they're task-oriented. They seek details. They seek analysis. But if you are a C, you want to be careful that as you're going through, let's say, the jump starts, session 3 and session 4, and we're talking about what are your marketing pillars going to be careful that you don't fall into paralysis from the analysis. I see it all the time. And I have a couple that I'm working with right now that it's like, okay, come on, see, get back on, get back on. You can only analyze it to a certain point, but now that we got the numbers that you need, now we need to be able to make a decision onto what we're going to do, okay? They have a critical eye and a critical nature, but they are methodical, but they're also very careful, okay? Again, we all have a little bit of that D, the I, the S, and the C within us. Boom. All right. Communication is only as good as your understanding of the person you are communicating with. This is why I say you need to become a little bit of that chameleon, because you need to listen to the other person, and that's hard for the Ds sometimes. You need to take in their point of view. You need to acknowledge their point of view, but then you need to be able to say, okay, I understand what you're saying, and this is a solution that we have. Now, for some of them, your Ds, okay, this isn't ladylike or professional. Y'all give me permission to hear, what, the cut the crap, let's get to the bottom line? That one, yeah. Okay, so Aladdin's going to say it for me so I don't have to. I'm just repeating what he said. So often, though, your Ds, they don't want to know it's got a cute kitchen. They don't care it's got a pretty backyard. They want to know facts, numbers, data. Bam, 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 bam. They want square footage, year, built, price, blah, 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 blah. They don't care it's cute. Okay? Why am I looking at you? Because I just happened to look out at the audience. There we go. Okay? See all the fun you miss when you're not in class with those live? Okay, so let's play a little game here. On page 8. Oh wait, I'm gonna come back, but we're gonna do this first, and I'll go back to the handout. All right, so let's say we're gonna take a road trip. We have a D, an I, an S, and a C going on the road trip. Who would you guess is driving and why? D. The D. Why? Control. Because you know what? Nobody else can do it as well as they can. Yes, you are, because I'm in control of the radio. All right. So the D is going to be the driver. Okay. Who is in the front seat passenger? Yeah, front seat passenger side. The I. Why? Fun. Okay. Now, if we're going on the road trip and we got 4 in the car, us I's are going to find out what your favorite snack is, what your favorite drink is, what your favorite radio station is, because we're going to make sure everybody's having a good time. just so you know. All right, back seat. Obviously, is going to be your S's and C's. What is their role? Backseat driver? And complain? Don't go so fast. Slow down. Are we there yet? Okay. Why are you speeding? Your S's and C's are going to have, one of them, if not both of them, is going to have the printout of MapQuest from 3 different sources. Because God forbid your GPS goes out and you guys get lost, ain't having it. Okay? The D would be going, I'll get there. I'll get there eventually. Just leave me alone. But your S's and your C's are going to make sure they've got the printout of MapQuest. Just in case. Now, we all have cell phones, but just in case. You know, just in case, we're going to have the backup. The I is going to make sure everybody's got a sweater, just in case. There's going to be the umbrella in the trunk, just in case. There's going to be the snacks and the water and the drinks, and just in case. Okay? The S's and C's in the back seat are going, excuse me, did you fill up the gas tank? Okay? What's the mileage? Okay, because we're going to split the cost. Your S and C is in the back seat going, okay, it costs you this amount to fill up the gas tank, it's full, right? Okay, so, and what's your mileage per gallon? Okay, because it's going to take us X amount to get from point A to point B. And so with that, it's going to cost each one of us $23.11. Yes. Okay. They're all laughing, okay? So we're not laughing at each other, we're laughing with each other because that is the fun of it. Now, if you're going to have a committee or a group to do something, do you want to have a DISC all on that group? Yes, you do, okay? Because your D is going to keep everyone in check. Your I is going to make sure you're all having fun, okay? But if you're planning a party or an event, you do not want the entire group to be I's. Yeah. We'll have a good time. It's going to take us 8 hours, but nothing's going to get accomplished. And when it gets to the end, okay, so y'all know what checkbooks are, right? Remember from the old days, we all had checkbooks? Okay. So the wife comes home, or the husband comes home, the wife says, how's your day? And he says, fine, but why is, the bank account's overdrawn? And she says, oh, do you want me to write a check to cover it? See, you got to have fun with this stuff. So if you're going to hang, okay, let me give you another fun example. If you're going to hang a picture on the wall, okay, how would your D probably do it? Just give me the nail. Yeah. Just give me the nail. Put the dang nail in the wall. Let's hang that sucker up. Okay. Figure it out later. Yeah. Okay. Figure it out later. Now your I is probably going to go, that looks good. Yeah. Slam the nail in there. I'm good. Your S and C is going, oh, whoa. I need to weigh the picture. I need to know how much the picture weighs. I need to make sure I have the right hanger for it. I need to know if this is wood, concrete, stucco, what are we drilling into? Okay. Is there a stud in the wall? Where is it? Because we need to make sure we're hitting it. So I need a stud finder, a level, probably a tape measure. I need the various nails or screws, and I need the scale to weigh the picture so I know that we've got this going up right. That's your S's and C's. Okay. Your D and your I are going, hang the dang picture. Slam the nail in the wall, put it up there. If it's not right, move it. Okay? Fill in the hole with toothpaste and move on. Okay? Now, some of you are laughing because you're starting to figure out what your significant other or your family members are. That's when it becomes a real hoot. Okay, we're having fun. All right, so I'm going to leave that screen up just because it's cute. And we're going to go back and talk a little bit about, just kind of re-highlight some of the things that start back on page 5 of your handout. But in the meantime, I'm going to take a little drink. This was a cute gift that an agent gave me. It says, I'm made of sugar and spice and real estate advice. So thank you, Miss Lisa, for that. So yeah. All righty. If I didn't laugh so much, I wouldn't need to take a drink. In reference back to your page 5 of your handouts, again, your D is looking for results and efficiency. When they're working and communicating with them, you want to make sure that you are quick and to the point. If you've got, and how you kind of tell this is you look at how they email you. If they email you with, so do you have the numbers? Don't take it personal, Miss I or Mr. I, because they just want to get to the point. Okay? If you are responding back to them, you want to respond back in kind of the same tone with, here's the information you asked for, boom, da-da-boom, 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 bullet points, bam, thanks, let me know if you have any other questions. Yeah, you can send an emoji. We like emojis. That's your I. That's your I. Now, you email an I, and you don't say, hey, how's it going? Happy New Year, haven't seen you in a while, hope everything's good, how's the dog? A smiley face emoji. They're going to go, did I make them mad? Did I hurt their oh my gosh, why are they upset with me? Okay? Just take a look at what they send you and kind of mirror them back just a little bit. All right? We have so much fun with this. All right, so the other thing is when you're dealing with an S, they're looking for security. They want to know that you have done your research, that you have data for them, and you can probably not give them too much, but you'll know when they've bonded with you, okay? The client I was telling you about, Margaret, husband was the pharmacist, she was the bookkeeper, I's were dotted, T's were crossed, there was no gray area. They were both S and C's, okay? And once I had that aha moment and I provided her some stuff, game on, we were best of buds, all right? Your C's, again, when you're communicating with them, take a look at the tone in which they've emailed you. Now, text messages, my opinion, is a little more difficult to get a tone or a pace from a text message because they're usually short, sweet, and to the point. Okay? Where does that stem from? That stems back when texting was first available. We paid per text or time or whatever it was. So texts were short, sweet, and to the point. Okay? Text messages are not to be the equivalent of an email. If you got a long, lengthy message you need to relay to them, email them, but then text them and say, hey, I just sent you an email with the data that you were looking for. You are golden in their book now, okay? Your C's, again, are, very task-orientated. You best and better, in my opinion, make sure that in your buyer consultations, seller consultations with them that you have, here's our tasks. Here is my 57-point marketing program. Here is my this, here is my this. Because you want to make sure that you are shadowing them a bit as well. Even if it's not your natural style, you want to make sure that you're mirroring them just a little bit. Again, we have all four DISC in us. We just have to flex it sometimes. It's kind of that thing, like if you go to the gym, not that I would know that, but if you go to the gym and all you're going to do is do, curls or whatever these are called, okay? So this muscle's going to get big, but the rest of the muscles ain't going to do anything. So if you just stay within your D personality or your S personality, you're going to get really good at this, but you've missed all the other. It's kind of a full body workout. Same thing with this, okay? All right, let's flip over quickly to your page 6 of your handout. This is kind of your cheat sheet. When communicating, again, is only as good as your understanding of the person's style, here is your cheat sheet. So your D's, it's the what. What do I need to know? They want to make sure, they want to know about the money. They want to make sure that their time is not being wasted. This is also, too, with a D, if you do not do a buyer-seller consultation, especially on the buyer side, and do the wants and needs assessment, you just lost them. Okay? Because they don't want you wasting their time. Their time is valuable to them, and they may tell you about it. So if you haven't chiseled down into very specific wants and needs, and I would encourage you, if you have not listened to and studied, I don't care about listening to it, I want you to listen to it, and then I want you to go back and study it, the buyer consultation, and understand how to do that wants and needs assessment. And then again, here's where those puzzle pieces start coming into play. All right, so we have the wants and needs assessment. We have in session 1 of Jumpstart, we talked about the big why and then how to use it on your client as well. Those fit into there. This fits into their personality profile. So that's why we have all this, because it fits in and pulls together. So that's why I say listen to it, yeah, but then go back and study it. This is where they all start fitting together and support one another. And this is the biggest mistake that I have seen probably over 4,000 agents make, is they don't always put the pieces together. Oh, this is good, this is good, this is good, this is good. We need to put them together, okay? The D does not want their time or their money wasted. So again, that's why you don't talk about how cute the kitchen is. You're going to go in and say, okay, this house was built in 1902, it's X number of square feet, da 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 da. The heat, hot water heater is this old, the roof is this old, da 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 da. Bam, da da bam, da da bam, da da bam, da bam. Now, what I would do once I learned this and started incorporating it all together, I would take, if I knew they were a D, I would go ahead and highlight those numbers on with a highlighter on the MLS printout, because that's what they wanted to see. Okay, get to the point. That's where what Aladdin said applies. Have to grab it, get to the bottom line. Okay, that's what your D wants. All right. You want to be short, sweet, to the point. You want to give them the opportunity to say yes, no. You don't want to give them lengthy questions that are going to take a 50-page report to respond to. Do you like it, yes or no? How would you rate it? Not how would you rate it. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate it? Boom, 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 boom. Okay? You want to speak bottom line, because again, one of their fears is being taken advantage of. So, if you're a high I and you're working with a high D, take a deep breath and toughen up a little bit. Because their response back with yes, no, maybe, never, what, but, is not a personal play on you. That's just how they are, and it's okay. Because then you learn to fire it right back again. Because that's what they want, and that's what they need. All right, your eyes, again, they want to have fun. They want to see the house. They want to see the closets, because the D doesn't give a rip about the closets most times. They want to make sure that they can envision themselves living in this house and creating the lifestyle that they want from that house. So that's why it's important to kind of catch them, watch them, mirror them. That's why I say in the buyer consultation, I would tell my clients, we're going to do the research. When we go out, we're going to see 3 to 5 homes. Usually 3 is on our first trip out. It's not about you, it's about me. They usually go, what? I want to know, did I get it right? Did I hear clearly what you were asking for, what you are looking for, what is important to you? So I don't need to go in and look at the kitchen. I don't need to go in and look at the backyard, because every house has one pretty much. I want to watch my client watch their reaction to the property. Did I get it right? Did I hear what was important to you, and did I nail it? Trust me on that one. Just telling them that, and then when you go preview the first couple of homes with them, and they catch you, and they'll be looking, are you looking at them, or are you looking at the house? and they catch you looking at them, they're like, dang, she's good. Because they notice that stuff. Okay? That is also why putting these pieces of the puzzle together in the buyer and seller consultation, at the end we talk about the letter, how did I do, or the email that you can write out the how did I do. When we met, I listened carefully to what your wants and needs were. Here's what I heard you say. Bullet point. Okay, that ties right into this as well. Okay, do not miss that step. It's a big piece of the puzzle. All right? Okay. And if you have a high I client or spouses or whatever that are both high I's, you better plan on doing coffee afterwards. Okay? Because you're going to want to talk about the properties that they saw, have them rate them, make sure you've got them in order. So if they had to make a decision today, what's the first, not that they have to, but what would be their first choice, second choice, third choice, fourth choice, or however many properties you saw, put them in order. And again, we talk about that in the buyer consultation. Okay? That's an important piece that connects to them as well. You're reading them, you're connecting with them. You miss that, you miss them, you're going to miss any referrals from them as well. There you have it. Okay? Okay, yes, that D can come out in me sometimes. All right, so when communicating with your S, again, they're very, very steady. They want to know why. Why is the house priced at this point? Why is this? Why is this? Why is this? So just know that you need to bring a little bit of that why into them so they can understand where you're going with it. Okay? And as you start to do this, because then, you know, if you've studied the buyer and the seller consultation, what's the first thing I talk about in there? Is a little bit about the D, the I, the S, the C. You don't know what they are. You can't get them to take an assessment. We can, but, you know. So you need to be observing them and paying attention and saying, okay, am I getting this? Am I hearing? Am I seeing? What am I hearing? What am I seeing? And then step back, pull this back out, and go, okay, they're this, more than likely. All right? All right. Your C is going to think about everything. Now, your C's are also the ones that are going to say, I need to think about it. Okay? Now, if you're still in the market that we were in a couple years ago when you got 15 offers coming in the first 20 minutes of it going on the market, they don't have time to think about it. And so a very sweet, D's, you need to soften this one, but a very sweet way to say it to them is, I understand you want to think about it, but if you think about it too long, are you okay with somebody else sleeping in the house in 30 days? It does work. I've used it a couple times. And then you smile at them, give them a second to think about it, and respond. Okay? D's, you can do it. I's comes second nature. If you're an S and C, comes second nature. D, suck it up. Okay? Boy, do I have fun with this. All right. Oftentimes, your S's and your C's, again, are going to want to read everything. One of my first clients, in fact, it was my first client, $750,000 property. I would have never bought it, but I wasn't living there, so that was just me. I think he bought it to impress his parents. He was a Navy SEAL. She was a nurse. Presented the purchase off, or the offered purchase. They sat down. She read it, handed it to him. He read it, handed it back to her. She signed it, handed it back to him. He signed it. Then they went on to page 2. I swear to God, I thought I was going to be there till Christmas. I would still be there. What I ended up doing was I caught on to that real quick, and I went, okay, they want to read everything. So I smartened up and asked, hey, I got a question for you. Out of curiosity, I know that you're methodical and want to read everything, which I love personally, whether I did or didn't. I told them I did. What would you find any value if I went in and pulled out all the disclosures and forms that we're going to be reviewing over, during the transaction? Obviously, they'll be blank, but get them to you ahead of time so you can kind of read over them before we get to the point that we need to read them and sign them. And they were like, oh my God, that would be wonderful. Yes, absolutely. I did. It made the rest of that transaction so much easier because they knew they had already read the content of it. I made sure, because I knew they were going to be analytical that way, I said, we're going to take a look at it and we're going to review every number and every word that we've had to put into the contract. That's what we're going to double check. I want to make sure I got it correct. This is my double check, this is your double check. And we went through everything. They loved it. I was out by New Year's and it was good. And this started back in June. I'm just saying. Okay, so, but when you understand a little bit about the client and tune into that, you become way, way better. And again, if it's that in that initial buyer-seller consultation, they may be interviewing somebody else. And if you don't connect with them right then, they're going with somebody else. Okay? All right. On your handouts, take and flip over to page 7 for me. Again, this is kind of quick reference. It expands a little bit more on the communicating with the different styles. Your D's, the bottom line, you want to stick to business. Don't ask them about the dog, don't ask them about the weather, don't ask them about the game, the whatever. Unless they bring it up, you stick to the business. All right? It's great to see you again. Boom, get into your business. If you're working with a high I, you definitely want to make sure that you are planning coffee after you're out and about, because they need and that they want that social time. That's important to them. Again, your S's and C's, they want to make sure that you are providing them the data, you're providing them facts, they know that you've done some research to come up with that documentation, and now they're good to go. Okay, that is part of how you're going to win them over. Okay, making sense? All right, let's have some fun. We talked about the road trip. We determined who was going to be the driver and why, who was going to be the front seat passenger and why, and who was going to be the 2 back seat passengers and why. Now, what I want you to do is on page 9 of your handout is go ahead and jot down 2 or 3 people that you know, whether it's family, significant others, parent, whatever. Jot down a couple of people, and then based off what we've kind of talked about a little bit, can you guess or figure out what they might be? I would play the do-do-do-do-do-do-do music right now, but while you're doing that, I think you can listen to this cute story. So back in the day, I was teaching this, and I will never forget, Tony was a hoot. He was in class. He was a fairly new agent. And part of his homework was to have the DISC assessment done and emailed to me the night before class. And apparently, he had met this new gal, and they were going to go to dinner. So he was getting ready to go and went, oh no, I've got to get my homework done real quick. Can we have like 10, 15 minutes? That's all I need. She's like, sure, not a problem. So he's telling her that he needed to do this assessment so that I could, put the pieces together in class the next day. So I don't know how he did it, but he got her to take one too. The TonyRobbins.com/DISC assessment. Next thing, I get an email from him that had not only his DISC assessment, but her DISC assessment. I'm thinking, Tony, you are the only one that could have pulled that off. So he comes to class the next morning, and I said, do tell how this happened. We all had a good giggle. He said, so are we a match or not? What do I need to know? Tony, gotta love you. And guess what? Last I knew, they were still together. So apparently they were a match. But he used that as his assessment Yeah, gotta love it, gotta love it. Okay, so again, the fun of this is take a look at a couple of people that you know, do a guess of, can you guess what they are potentially, and again, if you use we're gonna hang a picture, that'll tell you a whole lot right there. Okay, all right, so let's take a look at the slides for a quick minute. Again, I have been given permission to put these up, but I'm not putting any names with them. Let's talk about this person. Now, their style is, their D is pretty consistent, in both the natural style and the adaptive style. Their I, again, is pretty much, and again, you're looking at that 50%, midline there as well. But their S is pretty much up there as well in the first grid that's on with the higher blue line. What do you think would be important to that agent if they're a high S? Security. Exactly. Okay? Now, same thing here. Your S is up there, your C is up there. They want to know there's a system. They want to know there's a checklist. They want to know everything's in place. And if you're a client, they're the same way. What about this one? Their I is off the charts. They could charm anybody. They could carry on and start a conversation with anybody. They're going to walk away from that conversation knowing anything and everything about that person. When it comes into a transaction, they got the systems in place. If not, they better get the systems in place because it's going to drive them batshit crazy if they don't. Okay? But what about their D? Almost non-existent. Yeah. Now, the beauty part of this is that's my phone. I turned it down. I turned it off. Okay. That's good. All right. I'm busted. All right. So the D is so low. They're the fight or flight. Okay? A high D is going to fight. The low D is going to flight. Thank you. If you are working or hire a person that's got a low D, yeah, just hit the button in the center. It should wipe it and just shut it off. It's a cute song, though. Okay. Your low D in this case is not going to be a good negotiator. Okay. Your high D is going to be a good negotiator. Thank you. But come for a conflict, boom, they're out of there. They will avoid a conflict for the love of money. Okay? But you put them in front of, at an open house, you put them in charge of, communicating with people, oh my God, off the Richter scale. But there also better be systems in place to help them get through it as well. All right? Now, let's take a look at this one. Again, very high D, very high I. Okay? The high D is going to be a good negotiator because they're going to go for the jugular. They don't care who they're going to step on to get it. They're going to get what they want and get what they want for their client. High I, very personable. I have found, yeah, I'm going to say most agents, I'm thinking back in my brain all the disassessments that I've looked at. Most real estate agents, the I and this S are they're stronger, more consistent. Those are usually up, even if they're lower. Now, with this one, I'm going to tell you what. If you're going to hire a transaction coordinator, this is not the person you want to hire. Because they don't care about systems. They don't care about, They're going to have a good time, though. Okay? They'll yell at the other side, get me the dang forms I need. But they're not going to follow a checklist and make sure everything gets done. So, and this kind of goes to those that are doing mentoring and those that are doing, managers. If you're looking for a specific person, you need to be crystal clear on the specific tasks you need them to do. based off that, again, here's my offer to everybody. If you are needing to hire, if you want to know what you are a little bit more, take this assessment, okay? Send it to me and I'll give you a one-on-one. If you are needing to hire somebody for your team, let's say, feel free to give me an email. Let's set up a time we can chat. I want to know specifically what you're needing that position to entail. And then when you find someone who you think is a strong candidate, we're going to do a DISC assessment and see how they measure up. Okay? Because again, it could be a phenomenal person that you love because you're a high DI, but if they're a high DI as well, you're going to either be at each other's throats or having a good time and drinking because you ain't going to get the work done. And God forbid the files are going to be a disaster. Just saying. Okay? Now, let's look at this one. Would this make a good transaction coordinator? Oh, yeah. I would hire that one any day of the week. Because, again, they're going to make sure, and again, they're going to be a good agent because they're going to make sure that they've done their research, they've got their data, they've double-checked the price points, they know what's going on in the market, they provide that information to a client, they are golden, they have okay? Now, their D is not too bad. I mean, they'll fight a fight, but if they never had to talk to anybody, they'd be okay with that as well. But they can adapt to it if they need to, because they understand that that's part of the business. Yeah, this is a perfect admin.
They got enough to tell you, no.
Mm-hmm.
But, okay, don't fight me.
Yeah, don't fight me too much. Perfect admin. You got it. Yeah. And again, you want to know that, and again, if this is you, you want to know that your files are I's dotted and T's crossed. Okay? All right. So what is going to come next? This gives you a little bit of insight into who you are and what you are, your natural style. Just take a hammer to it. Your natural style and how you naturally evolve and do. It is all good. Whether you're a high D, high I, low D, low S, low C, doesn't make any difference. All of those strengths play a part and a role. You do not and will not work with someone that is identical to you all the time. Now, if you don't identify what they are, you're going to feel like you're butting heads. Okay? So you want to be real careful. Now, a couple years ago, I was working with a very impressive agent who did an impressive amount of work. Very high D, very high I. Her S&C, substantially lower, didn't have the systems in place, but her admin did. Admin got hurt, needed to take some time away, and boom. Okay? I worked with him and said, we ain't doing that again. And we put it together. Now, as you're building your business, if you're a high D and a high I and your S&C is lower, guess what you're going to be doing next transaction? Miss Katie, mentioning no names, you are going to be hiring a TC. And if you are thinking, I don't want to hire a TC, I'm going to drag you over and introduce you to Casey, because they have a phenomenal team here at Samson to help. Now, y'all giving me permission to be blunt and honest with you, tell you what you need to know, not always what you want to hear, and here's one of them. Explain to me why, no one's been able to do it yet, why it makes better sense to do the transaction paperwork yourself, especially if you're a high-producing agent, because you don't want to spend $200 to hire someone who's really darn good at it and will make sure the I's are dotted and T's are crossed, but it's preventing you from doing what you're good at and going out and finding the next client that you can work with at a $10,000 or $15,000 commission. Can anybody explain that to me? Doesn't make sense. Yes, Miss Katie. Which is why she will be hiring a TC on her next transaction. Because I love her and I told her she was. Yep, she does. Well, and sometimes agents will look at that, But see, the money part of it. But you know what? You're at Samson. You're getting 100%. You have minimal out of your pocket at the close of a transaction. And it's my understanding that, it goes to the TC department, and if it doesn't close, you don't pay. Hello? If your strength and your expertise and your job is to be generating the business, no. Hire the TC for $200 or whatever it is. We have a whole concierge department. They can do all this extra stuff. You go do what you do best and work and interact with people to get the next transaction. Got it? Got it. Okay. All right. As we wind down, coming up in the next session that we're going to do, part 2, we're going to talk more about, now that you kind of understand what you are, we're going to talk about how to work better with clients regardless of where they are on the Richter scale and how to determine what they are. We hit it lightly today, but we're going to get into a deeper dive on it later. So that is up and coming. So with that, you become the chameleon. You need to understand enough to be dangerous. You need to understand that when you are able to mirror them and talk to them and pace with them, you're going to win them over a whole heck of a lot faster. Okay, here are a couple quick reminders. As we start adding more of the pieces of our puzzle together, you should start seeing these connecting. Quick reminders. I am as serious as a heart attack on this one. No one within this company should ever be missing the sales meetings. There is absolutely no excuse. Yes, you may say, oh, but I'm busy. In fact, when are the sales meetings? Do y'all know? Wednesdays, 9:45-ish, okay, to 11:30. 10? Yeah, to 11:30. They are in Virginia, the 1st and 3rd week of the month, usually DC or Maryland on the 2nd. Now, if you're not in DC or Maryland marketplace, yeah, it may not apply. Frankly, I would still watch the sales meeting because it's available on the Cardinal Nest for you. And if you don't watch the whole thing, fast forward to the Donnie and Sarah show, which is a comedy hour, but good information. Listen to what Cardinal Title has to say and listen to what the First Heritage Mortgage has to say. And if you don't want to listen to the last half, fast forward it off. I'm amazed, if not appalled, at times, of what agents have missed from the sales meetings. Bang head here. I'm going to get on my little pedestal here and preach for a second. This is a phenomenal company. And they bring you guys the most amazing tools and systems. I'm boggled why you're A, not paying attention, or B, using them. Okay? This is your business. But this company is here to support your business. Because if you had to go out on your own and buy your own, KV Core platform or your own forms or your own DocuSign or we're talking a lot of money. But this company is handing it to you along with a support system on a silver platter. You worked for any other company or business out there and you missed sales meetings or you missed training opportunities and, oh, I didn't know about that, you'd be looking for another job real fast. So I hope that this year, part of our commitment and our word is to be knowledgeable, be diligent. Because guess what? You have a sleepless night, you don't settle in until 11 o'clock at night. You can watch the sales meeting at 11 o'clock at night. Because guess what? It's on replay. Okay, so there's no excuse. You can plug it in and listen to it in the car while you're traveling. Okay? Okay, I'm done. I'm never done. Okay? So what are the other pieces of the puzzle that you have available to you? Well, first off, David has the most amazing mastermind classes. They are on Zoom. You can be in your jammies for all I give a rip. They're on the calendar, so check them out. Go find out what level, because they're broken down by level of production. And if you've not listened into one or jumped in on one, I would encourage you to do so. Okay? There's some good stuff on there. Again, available for you, Cardinal Nest on the calendar. All right, other options. OMG, do not tell this man that I am absolutely smitten with him now. Coffee with Casey. Okay? It is available on Samson University. He does a podcast. It's on YouTube. It is phenomenal. Okay? There was one that was done October 27th. He got talking about something. It was like, holy moly! Okay, so y'all need to go find that one. There's like 30 minutes is all they are. There was one, okay, truth be told, last week I was heading, I think it was up this direction. I had it on my phone playing through my radio. I'm listening to it. It was like, oh, this is good, this is good. Got into another one. I'm thinking, oh my word, that's great information. Now I can't find which one it was. So now I've got to go back and do a dump to I'm driving. We're in stop and go traffic. I'm going to rear in someone and explain to the cop, well, I was trying to find Casey on the, replay of Coffee with Casey. That's why I rear into the car in front of me. Not a good thing. So know that is there as well. The other piece of the puzzle that we have available for you is if you've got a question and you're going, I wonder about that. Join me on Thursdays from 11 to 12 for my Q&A session. You got a question? Bring it up. Okay? So there is a lot of other great resources available to you, whether it's from the Sky Slope, whether it's from your social media marketing, the print shop. What they're doing is now amazing. There's so much that's coming to the agents. Take advantage. Know what it is, but then take advantage of it. Okay? So, boom chakalaka, there you have it, mic drop. All right, so speaking of dropping the mic, if my Justin in the back or whomever wants to grab a mic, it is your turn to share with us the aha moments and the takeaway from this. As always, think outside the box and be the Uncola. What are you doing that other agents, yes, I'm going to say it, are too lazy to do? We are going into a different market. The low fruit isn't there. You got to reach up and get it. But there's still some strong buyers and sellers out there. Because again, you've heard me say this before, when the home no longer meets their needs, I don't care what the market's doing, recession-proof your marketing and reach out to those. Have the right question to ask. And give you a little sneak peek since you're here. Coming up on next week's class, next week here, I have been asked for it from day one, and I finally got it on the list to bring to you, is how to do a buyer and seller consultation workshop. Mainly a first-time home buyer workshop. Boom. Can we all just say yay? Yay. Okay. That has been asked for multiple times, so that is on the schedule for next week. Coming up in a couple of weeks as well. Look, again, I know this goes out and be out on the market or out on the replay for months on end. Coming up in February, Aladdin and I are doing a class together. Yay. Commercial versus residential. Ooh, we're going to pop some bubbles. All right. So as we wrap down, remember, I don't care what you know. I want to know what you're doing with what you know. I want to know your ahas, your takeaway. Aladdin, I see you have the mic back there. You go first.
Okay. The whole thing's aha, but I wrote a bunch of stuff down. First, can I be more than one? Because I feel like, depending on the role I'm in, right, I might be a strong D, right? Mm-hmm. Like sitting here, and it's like I got to bottle up this noise I make until it's time to ask. Right, but I feel like in different roles.
Yes, you're still going to have the same. Again, you're going to have the DISC all in you, and it's going to be
moving.
Pretty.
They're not like fixed.
Correct. They're fluid, if you will. So again, at home, you may be that D may drop to the bottom, and you take on a different role there, or vice versa.
Yeah, not in my house.
Yeah. So.
The other thing, I'm just going to ask these two.
Okay.
So one of the things I try to do is it's not reasonable to think that you're going to get who they are in like a phone conversation. So I make calls to get the meeting, a 3-minute call or less. I might get a few cues.
Yep.
Right, and then the meeting is really my discovery.
Yep, and you're mirroring.
Right,
You're
I might get
watching
some
and
more,
paying attention.
but I might not get it all.
Correct.
Because they might not be selling right now.
Correct.
Right? But every time I meet them, I want to get more.
Correct.
Right? And then, see, it's easy for me to like say this, but actually doing it is harder. Right? Because then where do you put that information? Well, in your database, in your CRM. You got to get a good CRM to put that in. Right? But I need from that to say, okay, I need to know what question. I feel like I'm real good at asking questions, but I need to get better at asking questions to not only get me to the deal, but to flesh out more of.
Okay. Part 2 of this class will be coming in a couple weeks, and that's what we're going to get into, is how to work with the client, how to discover what they are a little bit better. Right. So yes, that is coming in
Because it's long term.
Yeah.
Right? We're building relationships.
Oh,
You're
yeah,
not going to get
absolutely.
that overnight.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Good. Thank you. All right, Ms. Jenny.
All right, so I think the best takeaway from this for me is literally just pages 6 and 7 on your handout.
Okay.
How to communicate with each personality type, but really even more so than anything is what each personality's fear is, so that when that conflict happens, that always happens, you know how to speak to their fear and overcome it.
Absolutely.
So that would be my greatest one.
Yeah.
Ms. Katie, do you want this?
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you. All right, ma'am.
All right. I like I'm a high DI for highlighting numbers on the MLS printout for the Ds and coffee afterward for the Is. And in my big D ego, I realized that I might dismiss someone who's an S or a C because, well, I don't need all these details. Just get to the point. When what I really need to do is adjust, meet them where they are. And
Be the chameleon.
Exactly. So that's like major for me to say, oh, okay, I just need to switch up a little bit and make this go more smoothly.
Yeah. And again, if not, you're going to be losing potentially half of your potential business. 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 Half. Okay? So it's, for an easy adjustment on your side and awareness, it makes it flow a whole lot better. And ultimately, it'll end up making you a better, I know you're pretty perfect right now, but, a better person. And because, again, birds of a feather flock together. They're going to have friends that are S's and C's as well. And if you can't connect with that side or whatever you are in comparison, if you can't connect with that, do you think they're going to use you, or bottom line, they're going to ever refer you? So knowing enough to be dangerous is a good thing. And it's going to make you a better, well-rounded agent and serving. Okay? Excellent. Thank you. You're welcome. All right. Who's got the mic back there? Yes.
Me. Well, I really think the whole thing about the DISC assessment for our clients is a great thing, right? Because it allows us to be able to manage our professional relationship with our clients much better. We can ask the right questions, and at the end, we can produce a great result and a great product for our clients. So I think, because not everybody does it. Like, I don't do it all the time, but I think it's great, and I think I'm going to start doing it much more from now on.
Yeah, it's the awareness. It is being aware, paying attention to what they're saying and doing, and then paying attention to mirroring them a little bit. You'll catch on. Now, if you go back to, and again, we'll cover this in the part 2 of the DISC assessment, is how to work with the clients better. But I kind of introduced it in the buyer consultation. We learn in 3 ways. We're either visual, auditory, or kinesthetic. And that all plays in as well. So if as you're kind of absorbing this and getting it into, go back and listen to that first part of the buyer consultation as well. because that plays an important role and ties it in as well. Okay? Excellent. Thank you so much. All righty.
Quick question, Lynn. So do you think like the disc, maybe a job or like a career can change the personality of, the disc of, so for example, you're talking about nurse, right? Like, or doctors, they're, typically they're in the S and C's, right? And do you think, that career or, like what they do can affect them and change a little bit?
A little bit,
like,
yeah.
For example,
Yeah, it'll heighten it and make it stronger. But if
so
they're...
it can be trained,
Yeah.
right?
Right. But if they're a high D, kind of the my way, highway, the lack of... Now, I will tell you, years ago, my mom had a doctor. I swear to God, he was a high D, but dang it, he was a good doctor. But he had a sucky bedside manner. That was the high D, okay? He knew his stuff, and he was just cocky enough. He knew he was good, but he also had his team around him that were the S, the C, the I, and so together as a team, they were amazing. So in answer to that, yes, whatever your natural style is can be elevated based off the job that you are doing. We're in a job of service to deal with, more of a service orientation. So we're going to be a little more fluid in ours. But yes, certain jobs will require a higher D or I or S or C to come out, especially military. Okay, good question. Good question. Okay, so what else was your aha?
My aha is just like when you're talking, I was thinking about like my clients, my friends, and just trying to figure out who they are.
Yeah.
And think about, okay, maybe that's why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really an enlightening understanding when it almost becomes a game. What are they? And ask them how they would hang a picture on the wall. That would give you some real insight. Put the dang nail in the wall and hang the picture, versus, oh no, I need the level, I need the stud finder, I need the, that I need the scale to weigh the picture. So, but you can have some fun with it as well. And the more you know, the more fun it can become. So, okay? All right, thank you, ma'am. All right, sir, you're up.
Yes.
Good to see you.
Thank you. Same here. The whole thing is aha for me. I really love the road trip example. It made it very easy to understand
The road trip.
The road.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's something I loved.
Yep.
Hello, ma'am. I think my aha is I am very weak in S and C. I learned from here.
Okay.
So now I will pay attention in the future which kind of the person. So I will use these techniques and
To build it up. Okay,
Yeah, thank
excellent.
you.
And again, if you're a low S and C, you best have a transaction, in my opinion, best have a transaction coordinator. And this is why this 54321 daily task to-do list and the task that matters, the 54321 are the 5 calls, the 4 text messages, 3 emails, 2 contacts added to your database, and then 1 CMA a day is going to be priceless for you, because it's going to keep you on track, it's going to keep you on base. I've given copies in the back of the room. It's going to get posted into Samson Universe or Cardinal Nest for everybody as well. If you want a Word document of it, because I think when it goes up into the Nest, it goes in as a PDF. If you are not able to edit the PDF and you want the Word document of it so you can customize it a little bit, email me and I'll shoot it over to you. Easy breezy, okay? So that takes us to the end. I want to thank you all for being here. Thank you for having some fun with us. Thank you for watching it online. Again, if you have not taken the assessment, I would encourage you to do so. There are so many options out there, but it is the one through the Tony Robbins that stays consistent. Let me go ahead and flip back a couple slides for you. that also gives me the, boom, it's further back. We're just going to keep pushing the little button and go back. It's going to give us the graph. It's going to give us that chart. And that is what I find is so valuable for me when I'm working with someone, is to take a look at, okay, so the other ones are going to tell you, yeah, you're a D, but compared to what? Compared to, you know, where are you on the chart? Where are you on the scale? Because to say you're a high S, okay, but if all your other ones are up there as well, that changes the dynamics a little bit. So, you know, again, I'm always very concerned about, you know, encouraging or asking anyone to invest, even the, you know, the $25, but this will give you definitely some good information. It'll give me information to help. If you're a mentor, you may want to encourage your mentees to take it as well, and that way you can help guide them and direct them where their strength and where their weakness is. Because if they're a low S&C, you better make sure that you're monitoring them through a transaction, because they're going to go, paperwork? What paperwork? Do I need to get paperwork in? Yeah, I'll get to it eventually. So don't want that to happen. Anyway, so with that, I'm going to say thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate you all being here. Remember, be that chameleon. It's okay. Be that chameleon. The more you understand this, the more fun it becomes. And if you do the assessment and want a one-on-one with me, shoot me an email with your report. I will schedule a time to go through it with you and give you some highlights of where your strength is and then where the other areas that you need to flex that muscle on that side to bring it up. Again, it's all about being that chameleon and changing as you need to. So with that, thank you for being here. Mwah! And I will see you all in the next class. Okay, thank you. Thank you. So with that, thank